We are back. Welcome back, Ranger fans. Big win tonight against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Game got very, very heated there at the end. My name's Jamie, going to be the host for the Man Advantage podcast for a Thursday night here. And we're going to go over the Rangers Penguins. So let's talk Rangers hockey and let's do it. And we are back. Okay, so Rangers Penguins. What the last 5-6 minutes of that game reminds me of why I hate the Penguins so much. So this was an important game. Rangers and Penguins were only separated by 4 points going into tonight in the standings for the second and third place spots in the division, respectively. So the Penguins were dealt a little bit of a blow when just about a half hour before the game. I saw on Twitter that Crosby was not skating in the warmups, and he was actually out with a non-COVID illness. Also, John Marino, defenseman for the Penguins, was also not playing tonight. So Penguins definitely were a little shorthanded, but it's a long season, and these things happen. So the game starts, and it was a pretty ho-hum first period. Not a lot going on for both teams. I think maybe the Penguins had a little bit more of the better quality shots, but it wasn't, anything out of control. Both teams did get a power play. Both teams failed to score on their own power plays. So, not a real whole lot to go over as far as the first period goes. So we'll just go right to the second period. And 24 seconds in, Frank the Tank scores a sixth goal as a Ranger. Igor makes a nice little play behind the net. They get the puck down the ice very quickly. And Kreider and Zibanejad and Vetrano combined for a goal. And it was really more of like what I like to call a confusion goal. It wasn't great skill or whatever. And Vetrano got a backhand on there, and the puck just happened to go in. So, great getting to the net. And, there's another greasy goal, and goals like that are great. There was a pretty goal tonight. Panarin's goal was pretty. I shouldn't say that. So, the Rangers played well as far as not giving Pittsburgh a lot of speed through the neutral zone and not giving them a lot of space. I thought the Penguins pushed back after that goal. They wound up having more shots on goal in this game. I also think that was a fact that Rangers were playing with the lead a little bit, especially in the third period there, and Pittsburgh pulled their goalie. But Igor was good. I mean, again, he made a couple really good saves. Nothing where I would say we're out of his mind saves, but just a solid effort. And the Rangers limited their turnovers. They didn't play reckless, and a lot like the Devils game, the Rangers just sort of went about their business and played a pretty solid game of hockey. And just thinking about it, in the 4 games against the Penguins, the Rangers have only given up 1 5-on-5 goal. Think about that. 1 5-on-5 goals, 1 5-on-5 goal in 4 full hockey games. So 4 total goals, 3 in the power play. So that's, any way you slice it, that's good hockey. So the Rangers have won the last 3 against the Penguins head-to-head. None of those games, those are all regulation wins. So that's 6 big points where Pittsburgh gets 0. And, going forward in the second, Trouba makes a really long outlet pass, and Andrew Kopp actually, I think he used his left hand and grabbed it out of the air, and he skates in and makes a really good pass to the bread man, and he cuts across the middle and just sends a backhand top shelf, and backhands are so hard to read for a goalie because you don't know how fast or how slow they're going to go. They're very hard to read off the stick. Um, but yeah, that was a huge goal for me. That was a huge goal. It took a little pressure, I think, off the Rangers. So, again, just solid defensive play. Nothing really to say, oh, this play was great or that play was great. It was just very much, it was a tame hockey game. And it remained that way up until about 7 minutes left when Tyler Mott got hit by Angelo. And, at first I thought it was a headshot, and clearly on the replay, it was not a headshot. It was a shoulder, and Mott is a smaller guy, and Angelo is a much bigger person, and Mott was in a prone position. He was very low, and the puck was near him. Um, I don't know if interference was the right call, perhaps maybe charging, but it, something about the hit I don't like. It's a little predatory. I don't think it's a suspendable hit or anything like that. It's just I just didn't like it. You really have a chance there to line the guy up, and maybe 30 years ago or even 20 years ago, that's acceptable, but it's not now. So these players have to respect one another and not go out of their way to hurt these guys because Mott's definitely hurt. He skated off under his own power, but you could look. It looked like his shoulder was definitely hurt. So, um, in the last few minutes, Malkin and Goudreau got. Uh, they did a little dance, and Malkin, he's a big guy. He's a big guy, and you can get under his skin and get him off his game. Goudreau certainly won't back down, and um, I think Matheson jumped in, and then Kreider jumped in a little bit there too, but he kind of backed off, and then it just got real chippy as the game came to an end, and there was a big scrum along the boards. I saw Kreider and Friedman, I think it was, involved, and yeah, I don't ever understand why someone wants to mess around with Kreider. The guy's so strong, and he's not. He can. I mean, he'll fight you for sure if he has to. That's not really his game, but Kreider's just a strong human. So and then the teams kind of met at the red line, and it was just like, what's Pittsburgh trying to do here? Or, they want to drop the gloves, and Gensel was chirping a lot, and um, I just didn't understand that. You lose the game. I mean, they were shorthanded, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles, and you got to play the game and the schedule and all that. So and then Dryden Hunt gets an empty net goal, and that seals the deal. And happy for Igor, sort of a bounce back game for him. And I remember the other day he didn't really want to talk about his game, so you knew he was going to be focused tonight and really wanting to sort of send a message to almost the league and say, I'm still here. So um, and that's really all I have for the game. I want to talk a little bit about the three players I thought that made a difference. Um, Again, I thought Braden Schneider had a decent game again. He really took the body well, and there was a play where he stood up and took stood up Brian Boyle, who's a big guy, 6'6", and he's 230 pounds, and Schneider is much smaller than he is, and he stood him up, and so I was happy with his game, and Patrick Nemeth played tonight, and I was a little surprised that Braun didn't get another look, if you will, because he was good the other night and he scored a goal. So, but I thought Keandre Miller is another guy who, he just does so many things well because of his physical ability, and he's really learning the defensive position on the fly. And there are times when sometimes he gets lost. But for the most part, his physical ability is so great that it helps him immensely. So I thought he was good. And of course you got to go with Igor. Igor was was just solid tonight. I noticed him almost punching pucks out of harm's way, and he just looked very, very controlled. Looked like he saw the puck well, and um, it's a good sign for the Rangers because if he gets hot again with the depth the Rangers have, they scored two 5-on-5 goals and then an empty net goal. So I don't know how you categorize that, a 5-on-6 goal, but either way, they didn't score a power play goal tonight. So they did well there. And, Pittsburgh didn't give up much. Pittsburgh played a pretty good game. They did, especially without their best player. And, he will be back in the playoffs. It's not like he's not coming back. So Crosby will be back. But the Rangers just did their job. They won the game. It doesn't have to be pretty. A win's a win. You get it, and that's good. So we can move the page to our next game. So a couple other things that I want to talk about that I've been reading on Twitter. And, it looks like the Rangers have some lineup choices going forward. Capo Caco is coming back, and Kevin Rooney is coming back. Now, with Tyler Mott potentially being hurt, that might just open a spot up for Rooney. You might see the fourth line. Originally, I would think it'd be Rooney, Mott, and Dryden Hunt or Reeves, depending on the team. But now with Mott not playing, if he's hurt, I think Rooney slides in there. Maybe Goudreau slides back to the fourth line. But I really like him on the third line with Lafreniere and Hedel because he's kind of like that veteran presence and he's a defensive guy and he can pop in the occasional goal, but he's sort of the responsible one out there. The real decision is what's going to happen with Kako. Where does he fit in? And I've seen a lot of guys saying like, maybe he shouldn't play in the top six and I'm not saying he needs to go right to the top six, but with the Rangers having basically clinched the playoff spot, they can experiment a little bit and put him on the second line or the first line for a game and see what fits for right now. Because regardless of, and he also needs to get in shape. The guy is a very good defensive forward. Um, his offense needs a little work. He's really good along the boards. We just got to see how healthy this kid is. We got to see him play. I mean, he hasn't played since the very end of January, like the 21st of January. So we're going on 2.5 months. That's a long time to not be playing hockey, especially in the NHL. And he's got to get his timing, his legs, and I know he's been skating. So these are some important decisions. But the Rangers have the luxury of tweaking their lineup as they want. Like maybe they put Vetrano on the second line, or we're talking about for a game. Let's just play it by ear. Maybe Andrew Kopp goes to the third line and skates with Lafreniere and Hedel, and then you have Kopp on the one wing, on the right wing, or maybe he centers, and then you run Capo, Strome, and Bread, and then you keep the first line, and then your fourth line can be Rooney, Goudreau, and Dryden Hunt, or Gauthier is not going to play on the fourth line. Reeves, depending on the team. I feel like if it's a heavier team, like maybe Washington, he might play. But regardless of that, I'm really hoping Mott isn't hurt too serious. It's good that the Rangers have the depth. We still have another 3 weeks, I believe. What's today? The 7th? So maybe a little bit more than 3 weeks before the playoffs start. So if he is hurt, maybe it's just a couple weeks and he can be back before the playoffs or a couple games before the playoffs. And I guess we can go from there. So let me know what you think, guys. How'd you think of the Rangers play tonight? What do you think of the lineup decisions going forward? Shesty, what'd you think of his game tonight? Are you confident in his game? Everything that goes with the Rangers, we're open to talk to about, and I can always answer questions. You can reach me on Twitter at Jamie_hockey. This was a great game. So we will see you in a couple days. Let's go, Rangers. Have a great night.